Okay, today we're just kind of getting stuff around. It's been kind of cold, rainy, and not so much rainy, cold and windy. It was supposed to rain today and it never really did. I need me a wood block. It's kind of sprinkled aggressively on and off, but I looked when I got home from work, it didn't put a single thing in the rain gauge, at least nothing measurable. So which is nice. I was kind of hoping it was going to miss us, because I'd like to try to do some chisel plowing tomorrow. We got 2 more days supposedly of dry, and then we got, I think, 2 days of rain possible, or rain thunderstorms. But anyway, that's coming up today. I wanted to get the nurse tank over here. The other night when I got done working on the planter, Dad and I got this put together. This is one I'm going to use for a bulk fertilizer tank for now. I got it set up on, we had a whole stack of railroad ties that Dad bought for a project that never happened, and so I set it up like this. That way it was above pump level. That way I don't have to, if I have it sitting on the ground, I think that would have enough suction to pull out of it, but this way I know it's got head pressure, so I don't have to worry about it. That way I don't have to worry about having a second pump to fill into the nurse tank. All I've got to do is switch my hoses at the pump, and I can fill out of there into here with one pump and one motor. You just gotta flip-flop your hoses between here and here. So that's all ready to go. It'll work for now. I'd eventually like to find a 2,400 gallon tank, but that was cheap. So, and then this guy, I got it serviced early, or last week I think, and it's still leaking fuel at the seam in the carburetor. Had somebody suggest last year when I was changing the oil on it and rebuilt the carb because it was leaking fuel. Had somebody suggest, if the problem persisted, to check the flange for flat between the 2 halves of the carburetor. They were right. They're far from flat after all these years of having a gasket in there and whatnot. But and I was able to take a stone and flatten the bowl side of the flange. However, the top halves, or the top side of the venturi side, or whatever you want to call the top half of the carb, the flange side, their mount side, whatever, the dog ears that the pin goes through to mount the float, or the actual pin for the float, the dog ears that pin goes through are molded into, they're molded into that top half of the carb, so they're in the way, so you can't just stone it flat. So I did the best I could, but with them being in the way, I can only do so much, and I got it slowed way down, but it's still leaking a little bit, and I don't think there's anything I'm going to be able to do about it. You can't really use any sort of gasket sealer because there's too many small passages that stuff could ooze into and seal them up. So I'm going to have to go to Horrible Freight and buy a little, like, 6-inch crescent wrench or something, because they didn't give you enough of a dealio here to, you can't do it by hand, but get a small little crescent wrench to keep in the toolbox, and have to shut the fuel off on it when it's going to be sitting overnight or something, just to keep from leaking fuel. I think the only fix for it would be to get a new carb, and I don't really think it's worth that because it runs perfectly fine. It just, you let it sit for a day or more and it leaks fuel. So anyhow, that takes care of this part. Now I got to run back home. We're going to grab the seed wagon so I can get my beans dumped in it, and then it can go back over to my house and go in the barn, right, Teeter? So let's go grab that wagon, and I got to grab my hoses for the nurse tank because I forgot them in the barn. Oh, don't think I made it far enough. Not quite. I wish that thing had an extendable tongue on it. I keep saying I'm going to build one for it, and I always forget. You get spoiled with that nurse tank because that's got one on it. sunk in your holes and you're not gonna roll. Okay, fertilizer wagon's hooked up. Just gotta go grab my hoses for the nurse tank. Did I just call that the fertilizer wagon? I think I did. Technically, you still could haul fertilizer with it. That's the way it's set up for. Also, I was gonna ask Shelly the other day and forgot why there's a bale of straw down here. Because I did not put it there. I need to do some rearranging in here, make it easier to walk around. I'm also trying to get rid of these saddle tanks because I don't want them anymore. Bought them when I thought I was going to use them, but the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, saddle tanks are just not. They make getting on and off the tractor suck. Visibility sucks. Everything about nurse tanks sucks. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. If you like nurse tanks, good for you. I do not. But if anybody wants them, let me know, because if they can get out of my barn and go into somebody else's, that would be ideal. Shelly got them for sale on Facebook, but they haven't been getting any hits. But I got them. I figure they're worth $100 a piece. Price, they're Snyder's. I mean, price them out new, and you probably be hard pressed to come anywhere near that. So I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna weasel my way out of here without dying. All right, here's the seed for this year. For beans, I got 2570 E3s. Everything's getting planted to that. They're a 2.5 enlist bean. Supposed to be pretty similar to the dang it, what did I plant before? 26. I was gonna bring my book because I've got all this stuff written down, but anyway, it's supposed to be comparable to what I planted before, the 2.6s I planted before, but they discontinued that bean, so this is supposed to be the replacement. So both boxes are treated, and then I got what, 5, 10, 15 bags of untreated to finish off on, in case I got to return any, because you can't return treated beans. And then as far as corn goes, I got 2117. There's 3 different hybrids here. 2335, which I've planted before, and 2299, which is a new one for me. So the 2177 and the 2299 are both new. The 2177 is a 98 day. I wanted to try a sub 100 day hybrid again, because what I had back here last year was not the best indicator of what that could possibly do, just because of the year we had and the way it all came up. So I wanted to try it again. This is going to go down here in front of Grandma and Grandpa's on the other field, and then that little 2-acre piece I took all the trees off of a couple winters ago, just up the road here. So there'll be roughly 11 acres of that. And then the 2299 and the 2335 are going to cover everything else. So a 102 day on the 2299 and a 103 day on the 2335. So yeah. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get them boxes dumped in the wagon so I could break them down and make them not so. It's a trick getting them in here, I tell you what, because you ain't got a whole lot of headroom to work with. do this like it did. Nope, that's not gonna work. Definitely help to shut the door. That one made a big old mess. Alright, need to save one of the cards for, I guess I gotta write it down, but it's easier to save the card. Need the seeds per pound on it. And the rest of the stuff can go in the trash. Don't mind the bale wrapper. And I just installed a remote steering system on that so they can steer it from the tractor rather than having to get out to correct it. And Dad come out and help me break these boxes down so they don't take up so much space. Back to my house and stuff this thing in the barn, because the tarp on it's good, no water gets in it, but once there's something in it, I just prefer that it still be under a roof just in case. So anyhow, all right, I want to do a couple, oh, birds. I was like, what the heck's in here now? There's a couple things I need to do while we're here and have stuff out of the barn. First things first, I want to get the grain drill from over there over here by the door so it's easier to get at. This 150 probably gonna leave out for a minute because I'm gonna stop and check my uncle's on the way back to mom and dad's and see what the ground looks like over there, and if it looks like it'll go, I'll get it hooked up to the chisel plow tonight. And then we get back the wagon in here. Dang, tires are going flat again already. I aired them up before I moved it. I would figure you get one tire fixed, and the other three of those tires have had air in them for like 10 years or however long it's been since we had that wagon, and I get the one that's always going flat fixed, and now the other three start going flat, and that would figure. That problem fixed, and then it showed back up again, but it cleans right out. I don't know. There's a reason I'll take diesels over gassers any day of the week. Peter and Lily out here hunting mice. They got one cornered under that pallet. Before everything is ready to go, get the drill switched back to beans and calibrated, which I hope to have done here the next day or so. Actually, not the next day or so. Hopefully the next day or so I'm chisel plowing. But Hopefully on one of the rain days, if they don't get too nasty. All right, there's that. Alright, that'll work for now. I think what I can do in order to be able to pull the T and the planter back in here hooked up, I think the Mini will actually back in here in between the combines, and then I can put the wagon kind of back up in here, and then the T should be able to pull in, and I should be able to park the 66 behind it, I think. But that's a project for a different day, because I still want to leave that over at Mom and Dad's until my Manuel shows up for the monitor, so I can get that figured out. So anyhow, 150 can stay outside for now. Let's go check my uncle's and see what the ground looks like over there. Well, it's a heck of a lot drier than I thought it'd be, and the only reason that these two ruts stand full of water is because since that house there was built in like the 40s or 50s or whenever it was, all the drains, I think all the drains, even the gray water, there's a tile right there, and you can see all the drains from the house run out here into the fields. That's why these two ruts are standing full of water. That's partly what creates this wet spot right here, is because all the drains from the house. But even the spot that's normally wet from the cow lot's dry, so well, dry-ish, or dry enough. So I think that where did all this gravel come from? I suppose it could have washed out of the driveway, but man, that's a long way. But it looks like driveway gravel. Nope, I bet I tracked them. I bet I tracked it down here with the tractor. I bet I picked it up in the tires, and I bet I tracked it down here with the tractor is what happened. Anyway, I dare say that we are plenty dry enough to start chisel plowing again. It might work up a little chunky, but you got to start making some headway somewhere. There's guys, you get up north of here, or north of here, there's guys been planting. You get south of here, there's guys been, not a lot. I got a buddy who's planting beans today about 10 miles north of here, but he's on sand ground. Basically, you get anywhere that's not this clay knob that we live on here, and guys have been poking at planting. Although there's a couple big farms that are normally like the first guys out pushing the envelope, and I am very surprised that well, like the one that I drive past going back and forth to work every day, their 620 quad track and their 9RX 640 both sitting there hooked up to the, one's hooked up to a VT tool, one's hooked up to their big disc, just sitting there. Been sitting there for probably 3 weeks now. I figured surely they'd move over to the other, they got a bunch of ground on the other side of the river. I figured that they'd be over there working by now, because that's all blow sand over there, but I don't know. But I think I am going, since that rain missed us today, I think we are going to go back to chisel plowing. So that will be tomorrow's project. So when I get home, I'll get the 150 hooked up, and it's already fueled up and serviced and ready to go. So anyhow, I guess that's it for this one, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. I gotta round the dogs back up.